All right.
Let's talk a little Cavaliers, guys. It was James Harden's home debut yesterday. However, it was the Sam Merrill show. Sam went nuclear. 17 points in the second quarter, a career-high 32 points in the game. He made 9 3-pointers, just shy of the Cavaliers team record.
What is the NBA record, by the
14.
way? 14. By Curry?
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
So he was shy of that, but still an incredible performance. Donovan Mitchell said after the game that one of the FanDuel broadcast keys to the game was to get Sam going. Sam saw that, went in the locker room and asked his teammates, hey, guys, am I playing really that bad? They're like, no. But let's get it going. He made his first 7 threes in the game, was incredible. And, Jason, I know you were there last night. It was a one-man Cavalanche, and Sam Merrill stole the show on James Harden's home debut.
I mean, they scored, 136?
138, I think.
38.
Yeah.
And James didn't really do a whole lot. Took 3 or 4
made free
shots.
throws.
Yeah. I think he had 10 free throws, only took 3 or 4 shots, had 6 turnovers. Like, it was just,
11 assists, I think.
Yeah. And Sam had one of those games like, hey, when you get in rhythm like that, the best thing you can do is keep feeding the guy. So, I mean, the Wizards know their assignment. They've got their marching orders. They're one of those teams that are absolutely in full tank mode. They trade for guys and send them home this year and tell them we'll see you next year.
Disgrace.
It's pretty wild.
Did you see the Bobby Marks comments? I brought that up yesterday.
No, I don't think I
About
did.
Utah not putting their starters back in the other day.
They sent them for the fourth quarter.
I mean, it's a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get off topic.
Yeah,
when you with this draft class is why you've got all these teams doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, this team is showing you what they're capable of doing. Are they going to play this well in the playoffs? Well, the competition is going to be a lot higher when you get to April, May, and June. But they're showing you what they are capable of when they reach their full potential. And they don't even have Evan. And again, James really didn't even play all that well last night, at least from a scoring standpoint. Mm-hmm. He was happy to facilitate and give you one of those and give you one of those. And it was the Wizards made it a one possession game, I think, at one point, but it never felt like that game was never in doubt. The Cavs beat the brakes off them. You got out to a fast start and coasted the rest of the way. That's what you got to do against teams like this, and they got a lot of them coming up on the schedule.
Yeah, I think it's dope that the Cavs have so many guys that can just go out here, get hot, get a bucket, and it don't always have to be the main guys that's going to carry us to victory.
Yeah.
Sam Merrill was cooking with fish grease last night, especially in that first quarter, and I think it set the tone for things to come. You brought up James Harden not really, playing that great from a scoring standpoint. For him, I go back, he said, I just want to fit in and contribute. And he only shot the ball 4 times. And for him to identify early on, okay, this is the rhythm of the game. I see who's hot. Let me go ahead and be that playmaker, facilitator, so we can keep Sam going. Even Donovan finishing with 30. I think Donovan had like 4 fouls for the majority of the game. And for him to come out, finish with 30 points, do what he normally do. Jared Allen, 21 points, 9 rebounds, another great game from him. You just see this team right now clicking on all cylinders and playing off each other very well. You see the synergy that's clicking in, and it was a great night.
So funny because I feel like with Koby Altman, I've been like, he's an idiot. He's done great. He's an idiot. He's done great. I feel like I've gone back and forth with this like 4 or 5 times, But you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, again, we'll see. You don't give that much credit until we see what happens in the playoffs. But if nothing else, I give him a lot of credit for trying.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a totally different team right now, what we're seeing. I mean, between the 3 guys you've added and Jalen Tyson's emergence this season, and then Jared Allen, the way he has played off of James Harden. I mean, he's like a different. I said this, I'm not a broken record here, but Jared Allen looks like a different guy right now. Like he's taking a ball to the basket from the free throw line. He's been way more aggressive and physical, it seems like, since James Harden's been here. I don't know. Maybe I'm kidding myself. I know he's had other good stretches in the past, but man, they look like a completely different team. Again, the Wizards stink. I mean, they're like a G League team now, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we named the players that played yesterday, but you've never heard of any of them.
No. So
it's funny that you brought that up because I remember last year during the playoff time, I got the opportunity to talk to Koby. And I told Koby, I said, there was a lot of talk the offseason prior about you need to break up the core 4. including all of us on this panel. And I said, you got to have some type of crazy faith in which you've built to go against the grain and stand alone and saying, no, this can work. Now, you fast forward, there's been a couple times we've talked this season, and you say, things ain't just going well right now, but it's okay. The adversity is going to make us better. And for him to be humble enough and, recognize that this is no longer working and to make a move, you have to commend him for that. And you talk about the development of JT, Jalen Tyson, Daquan Tomlin being another one. I think the emergence of those two guys in particular made it easier for Koby Altman to make other moves around who's playing well now and who the core guys are. Yeah. And I think that they got tougher. I think they got better defensively, and I think they got better offensively. Wow, they didn't get quite up under the second apron, but you kind of saved yourself some money on the back end by doing so.
Yeah, and if they win, nobody cares about the second apron.
Right.
Of course.
If they win in the next 2 years, that becomes irrelevant. But go ahead, Mike.
One of the beauties of this Cavs team, now with this Harden-Mitchell tandem, is it just puts defenses in an absolute nightmare of who are we going to let beat us, right? It's a pick-your-poison situation. And last night, Washington, and a shorthanded Washington team, decided we're going to make James Harden get rid of the basketball. We're going to kind of blitz him when we can. We're going to throw some weird looks off pick and roll, change our coverages up, and make other guys make shots. And that opens up opportunities like we saw last night for Sam Merrill, who shoot the absolute crap out of the basketball. Jalen Tyson didn't have his best game of the season, but he got a couple open looks. And if they're going to play, if teams are going to play James Harden like they did last night, he's going to have to learn to trust his teammates. And a performance like that from Sam Merrill in the third game they've played together certainly starts to build the foundation of trust. And there was a couple different plays, as you can see the entire montage of Sam's 9 threes go through, where they ran ATOs for James Harden in the high post area with no intention of having James Harden score. It was all James Harden, the floor is going to clear out on that side. Right. And they ran the same action. They ran two different plays off it. One where Merrill came around Allen for an open three, got wide open off a curl. And then it was the first play of the game. They ran a similar setup where Merrill cleared out, and then it left Allen one-on-one in the paint. Allen scored the first bucket of the game. It's early. They haven't practiced yet. They've only gone through a few film sessions.
You're not playing a team like this in the playoffs.
Granted.
But, Mike,
it's building the foundation.
I think what's interesting, guys, we've seen the last couple of years in the playoffs that what you talked about, forcing the ball out of James Harden's hands, teams would do that with Donovan Mitchell. Or at least they tried to. And you didn't have a second player like James Harden.
We've talked about that for years.
Yeah.
The easiest thing to do in the playoffs is to trap a guy and get the ball out of his hands. If you're going to just keep running pick and roll, the easiest thing to do is run a double at him, get the ball out of his hands. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What's next? And the Cavs struggled at times over the past few years in the playoffs with that, okay, what's next? Now you would think that they have a counter to that with Harden. And again, it's early. I know Mike joked about the Harden honeymoon, the honeymoon Harden phase.
Yeah.
This is what it's always like when he goes to a new team, and we'll see where they're at 2 months from now. But certainly, this team has the capability, offensively, to score with any team in the NBA.
You know what I was thinking about, Jason? Because you had brought this up, I think, last week. I was upstairs clipping, and you were talking about the human aspect that came into play with the Jim Schwartz situation.
Yeah.
And it made me think about James Harden in this regard. He's 36 years old, and we've seen so many different versions of James Harden. The NBA scoring leader, the MVP, the sixth man. And I feel like that he recognizes his basketball mortality, that you're closer to the end of your basketball career than ever.
Yep.
And I think that there's an element of humility with him now. When you hear him talk about, I just want to fit in, I just want to contribute, I just want to do my part to accomplishing the overall goal. And you've seen that, in my opinion, in his first 3 games, right? Because we had this preconceived notion that, or some of us did, he's going to come in, try to take over, this is going to be the James Harden show. And last night was a perfect example of, let me sit back and be this facilitator, let me be this playmaker, and get other guys involved. And if he can just stay right there mentally on a consistent basis, then it's going to be a huge benefit to the Cavaliers. Sometimes new energy, a new scene, a new situation it helps you. It boosts your morale. It changes your attitude towards situations and things like that.
Let's hope so. I mean, I just heard from a source in my ear that James Harden has said these exact same things everywhere he's been.
That's true.
Well,
So, but
and that's fair.
Yeah.
To your point, I didn't think Harden would come in and take over right away, but it's working with Donovan way faster than I thought that it would. I thought that there would be some clunky moments or some where they're just not sure because they've never played together. I said you got to give them 10, 15, 20 games, maybe up until the playoffs to sort of find their rhythm. Well, and who's to say it still won't turn out that way? But for a handful of games, they've been terrific.
we talked before when they first traded for Harden about his usage rate, and his usage rate is down.
I mean, 3 games, but it has been down.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's 3 games. So, I mean, we're not going to really learn anything until the playoffs, right? Like, you're going to have some moments, but it kind of makes sense. The Cavs have a lot to prove in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And James Harden's got a lot to prove in the playoffs. Maybe together, this Cavs team that's been a bust in the playoffs with Donovan Mitchell, and James Harden, who's been a bust in big moments in the playoffs, maybe together they bring, like the two of them kind of bring out the best in each other, and it doesn't matter. Like I said yesterday, we can't pretend. Let's not pretend because he's on the Cavs that James Harden doesn't have a big reputation for stinking at big moments. But it doesn't mean he can't change that.
And it doesn't mean he hasn't had big playoff games either.
Of course.
Because he has.
But there's no player in the NBA, I don't think, that's more known for not coming through in a big spot than James Harden. Nobody.
That's true.
And we got to accept that, and we got to hope he changes that. Because he could turn that around. If he comes through this year, if the Cavs make a big run, God forbid they win the championship, well, that narrative, I shouldn't say narrative because it's true. It's based on reality. Then that changes. Then you think of James Harden differently, and you think of this Cavs team differently. But they got to do it when it matters.
To your point, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong on this. There is only one player in the history of the NBA who has scored more career points than James Harden, who did not win a championship.
Give me 1 second.
In the regular
season? I believe that guy's Karl Malone. And so when you talk about, this is like the last thing that he needs.
I just looked up his scoring list.
Yeah,
it's like one of the last things he needs.
I'm trying to think would be up there.
On his resume.
Ninth on the scoring list.
It's like one of the last things he needs on his resume.
Yeah, just Malone, Earl, you're right.
To get it complete. And, when Jason say, I didn't expect it to be this fast, I was listening to Danny Green. He was on with our guys, Baskin and Phelps. And he was talking about James Harden's basketball IQ, and they were asking him, do you think he'll be able to fit in? And he said, man, the guys like James Harden, who got that high basketball IQ, they can fit into any situation. They can fit any style of basketball. And to see him come in just 3 games with no practices, just strictly film work, and be able to find his spots and recognize what's what, I think as we get through these next 25 to 26 games of the regular season, if they can just continue to do that, the biggest challenge comes in the playoffs. Very, very true. But it'll make us a lot more optimistic about how far the Cavs can go in the playoffs.
All of a sudden, the top of the East, the top 4 teams in the East look very strong, like much better. They're all playing well. I mean, the Pistons continue to play great.
Year.
What's that?
Detroit's been there all year.
They've been there all year, but they're continuing to play well. The Knicks are playing great right now. The Celtics, kudos to them. I mean, their best players hurt, and they're still playing great basketball.
Yeah. And they got better at the trade deadline.
Yeah, what did they do? What was their big?
They swapped Simons for Nikola Vucevic to give him a little more front court depth.
Okay.
Should we go to the phones? We got a phone call from Tyvis in Columbus.
Let's do it.
Tyvis in Columbus?
I cannot believe you all sitting up there gassing up a win against the Wizards.
Are we gassing up the win?
You know what this Cavs team look like right now, the same team as last year. Everybody seems to be having good games now that James Harden is here. We'll see if this team is truly better in the playoffs. Donovan was right. It doesn't matter what they look like in the regular season. We only care about the play. I love
Tyvis is a negative Nancy.
I think Tyvis just salty Darius Garland ain't here, and he still ain't got over it yet. And so I
just saw this really long text.
Like,
jeez, Tyvis.
Hey, bro, ain't you supposed to be on air right now?
What are you doing?
He sent the book.
The reason Earl's out
I thought he was supposed to be working today.
Yeah, the reason Earl's out here today is Tyvis had a doctor's appointment he couldn't get out of, so hopefully he's...
Well, apparently he's watching us at the doctor's office.
So shout out Tyvis. 2 things real quick, and then we can move on and get to the next topics. if teams are going to force the ball into James and Donovan's hands, especially in a playoff series, we need the role guys, the ancillary guys to make shots, right? Like that was what Isaac Okoro didn't do in his time here in the playoffs. That's what Dean Wade hasn't done yet in the playoffs. We haven't seen some of these guys get enough playoff minutes to make a determination of guys that are like playing for the Cavs now, like Tyson and Merrill. But through this season, if you look at the most effective and efficient three-point shooters on catch-and-shoot opportunities in the league, look at this list.
Yeah.
Number 5, Sam Merrill, 48.5 on catch-and-shoot threes. By the way, minimum 100 attempts. So this cycles out anyone who hasn't had real volume this year. And Jalen Tyson's tied for 6th in the league.
It's crazy.
Those two guys you could put in the corner.
Yeah.
Off pick and rolls with Harden and/or Mitchell.
Yeah.
That in the regular season, and I know you're going to say
it's
playoffs
meaningless
is different,
to me.
That this year, up until this point, have been as good as anyone in the league. Now they have to do it in the playoffs. And that's totally
like none of these outside of Max Strus, who hasn't played all year, none of these other guys have done anything ever in the playoffs. Like Sam Merrill, what did he do last year in the playoffs? He's got a lot to prove. Now Jalen Tyson, I'm more optimistic about him because it's not like he's done it and failed. He's never had the opportunity, so we don't know.
Nothing seems to rattle him. I'll be curious to see what his game looks like in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because to this point, nothing's really fazed him.
He was built for these kind of moments.
I mean, the guy went from 0 legit playoff minutes to starter. I know, but it's pretty
And think
crazy.
about this. When you said nothing rattles him, the 3 games that James Harden has been here, those have not been his best games offensively. But if you check his demeanor, you check his attitude, it's like he's unfazed. He's still confident because he's getting the shots that he wants, and he's being put in a position to be able to make plays. Shots just hasn't been falling the last 3 games. But the fact that he has that self-belief and that confidence and that dog in him, even that to get himself turned around. Everybody go through stretches to where the shot's just not falling. So,
all right, I got one last thing here.
All right, one last thing.
Okay, and then we'll talk about some head coach hirings. We're going to do more Cavs later in the show.
Okay.
We got this tweet last night. Steve, you want to take tag board forward? This is from my guy, Sean, who tweets at me all the time.
All
and
right.
I can't see his Twitter handle. I want to make sure we get his Twitter handle, so give me 1 sec so I can properly.
I'll contribute $100 to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show if that tweet makes it on air tomorrow.
Now, that tweet he's referring to, this is Sean Ferguson, by the way.
Okay.
Sean Ferguson and I'm going to give his it's at SeanFerg09. So he tweeted at me. This is the second tweet. I'm going to read the first one in a sec, but he said, I'll contribute $100 to Old Cleve Sports Show if that makes air tomorrow. Don't change it yet. Steve, I'm going to take the next tweet, and while Ant's giving me the next tweet, I need 408 ready because we're going to go right to 408 to show the play.
Oh, no. What?
The next tweet.
Is this the next tweet?
Take the next tweet.
Okay.
James Harden just gave me a hard-on with that pass.
Jeez.
The hard-on he's referring to, Steve, take the play full, is
Wait,
this behind
what?
the back
Oh.
pass.
Oh,
Sean
this-
Ferg, you owe us $100, Sean.
Oh, that was pretty sweet, yeah.
show that again.
Steve, just start this over, Steve. Just keep restarting this.
That was a pretty sweet pass.
Yeah.
Like
This is absurd. Literally an absurd play.
behind the back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So, Sean, there you go.
That's
You
a
got your
nasty
tweet
pass.
read.
I don't know if the pass warrants the end result that he ended up with, but
not?
that was a filthy pass, man.
Sports never got you excited there, Earl?
Not like that.
Not like that.
You're an emotional guy. I
Yeah.
can see you getting excited about sports.
Not like that. I've had more excitement on the final lap of the Daytona 500 with Dale Jr. leading than I had in that pass. But that was a great pass.
I
by
do
the way.
wonder how many babies were conceived on Father's Day in 2016.
Oh, a lot.
After the Cavs won the
Oh, yeah.
championship.
A lot.
Was there a baby boom in Cleveland in July, August, September of
A
2017?
lot of drunk
or wait,
sex that night.
That would have been what? March, April, May, June. Yeah, look
Yeah.
at March 2017.
Yeah, a lot of.
birthdays.
Why were there so many babies in Cleveland in March? You're right. March
Championship
17.
fever. That's all. That's all it was.
All right, Mike. Let's
All right,
switch
so
it up.
shout out to Sean. We appreciate Sean tweets at us all
Sean,
the time.
send that $100
Yeah,
care of Adam the Bull.
Yeah, you
UCSS.
can do the personal Venmo because I'm the one that's going to get in trouble for that.
Go ahead.
But we're going to get to the Browns tonight.